Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about good characters, whether you're a new player or maybe you're a returning player to Honkai Star Rail, Penacony, of course, very exciting. I want to give you a bit of help, because a lot of the guides that you see that has been like quite dated, maybe 2023 and stuff like that, there is a new event game mode now that is available for any of you new players and rejoining players, that all these other guides that tell you like recommended characters don't factor in, and there is a new pure fiction event. We're going to be actually doing a combined list. So the advantage of this channel is we've been around since even the closed betas, and it's very early on since the game was released. Back then, this character here, Yenting, at one stage of Honkai Star Rail's life, this guy was meta, but now you'll find him as a joke everywhere. Back when the game was first released, he was actually one of the best DPSs in the game. He was like S tier rated by some of very well-known other content creators as well. But now, of course, we have previous MOC here, the two different statistics of usage rates and whatnot. Even in the closed betas, Herta was once a super god tier character. She got nerfed, and now with pure fiction, of course, she's now slightly back in the meta. You can see here a lot more. But what I want to share with you is, of course, useful characters to build. These stats and everything are nice, they're interesting to look at, but what's more important is actually taking a combined look at both of them. If you are a new player in the game and you want to get the best bang for your buck, the most important thing I think is to look at the most used characters that currently, like people who have suffered, people who have spent a lot of resources building characters already, are using to clear MOC 12, Memory of Chaos 10 to 12, as well as pure fiction. What are they using? And we learn from thousands and thousands of people. This video is really aimed to analyze the statistics and giving you my analysis as well. I come from an analyst background, I'm a financial analyst, but I'm not selling you anything. I'm just here to help you make your account even more efficient than it already is. Hopefully, of course, or at least giving you some pointers. Now, the first things first, of course, when you take the top usage rate of all characters, one thing that clearly stands out is you see so much gold, so many 5 stars here, but fear not, any of you free-to-play players, there are a lot of blue or purple units to build, and we will talk about that first. The one most important thing I want to first point out, of course, is there are a few more consistent characters here. Of course, this box was like wondering a lot. Let me just cover it first to tease you guys a bit, even though it has already been revealed. Over here, as you can see, I'm splitting it up by MOC 12 on top, pure fiction on the bottom. These are the two game modes. I'm giving them equivalent rating because all of these characters, all these game modes give exactly the same rewards. It wouldn't be fair to like say that pure fiction is inferior to MOC 12 or Memory of Chaos. Is not the true, because they're both exactly the same. So the first camp, which I think is the most important camp, is characters that do well in both Memory of Chaos 12 as well as the pure fiction event. These guys give you the best bang for your buck. And of course, we already revealed the teaser, so I'm going to just go ahead and show you. You can kind of guess. Characters like Ranmei, unfortunately a limited 5-star. Fucc, who you can see here. Ranmei is like the clear winner for both of them. This was of course taken just a while back. There are certain factors that are introduced, like maybe it's like recency bias, maybe it's the flavor of the month bias and kind of thing. But we will talk about all these like variabilities or variables and vulnerabilities towards the later part. I'm just giving you a very, very clear overview first before we dive into what is, buts and whatnot. So Ranmei here, like number 1 performer. We have Fucc, who is relatively consistent as well in both sides. And of course, characters like Tingyun, Bronya, as well, both good in either side, Memory of Chaos and pure fiction game mode. Characters like Jingliu as well as Luota, both of them are really good in either half. So what this kind of tells you is if you have any of these characters lying around, maybe they are your favorite characters or whatnot, they are excellent to build because they are very, very good in both sides. They're super bang for your buck. And if any of you meta gamers out there, these are the characters that you probably are revolving your account around. There are many but-ifs. We'll get into that in a little bit. This is of course currently what works, and I can vouch for most of these characters. They are pretty good and have been pretty good for a while already. And next up, of course, is if any of you are into the politics, you have your countries going through election. I know Indonesia, US are all having elections, Pakistan also this year. And there are things like the swing states and whatnot, and like your swing political parties. I don't want to be too political, but basically here, we have a similar logic. Characters that swing with events. So MOC 12, we can see very clear that you have characters like your Dr. Ratio, Silverwolf, Imbibitor Lune. For whatever reason they swing, we will not elaborate too much on that for now. We just know that they swing. They are better in one section and they are not as good in the other section for whatever reason that is. We will touch on that in a little bit. Imbibitor Lunae may be a bit trickier to explain, but these two are pretty clear. I'll talk about it in a bit. Pure Fiction, we can see characters that are also swings, that they don't have super high ranking in the MOC 12, but suddenly like Kafka is like second. You have characters like Herta, Himiko also pushed up the list very, very heavily as well. And these are what I would call like specialist characters and swing characters. In a sense, they are specialized to target a particular half, which means that theoretically, they are like half as efficient as your other characters because you get less bang for your buck out of them. But doesn't mean they are bad, because some characters, for example like Herta, is a completely free unit that you can get to E6, which means the cost price of this unit is absolutely zero and you are able to like tackle content, whatever it is. So I think it's super still good bang for your buck. So now that we've shown you that there are discrepancies, no point just looking at this number here. What I'm actually wanting to do is I want to say that these two categories are also very volatile. By looking at these so-called like swing and states or specialist characters, they are subjected to a lot of things like, for example, what is the flavor of the month? Are you having a DOT meta where, for example, you see Kafka, you see Sampo appearing higher because currently it's like to sell Black Swan, so there's a bit more DOT meta shifting to mix. That's what I mean by like volatility. For example, characters like Himiko, Herta, Argenti, who was once like the top in this Pure Fiction, is also now like fading away. That also shows that it's also subjected to what's the weakness in Pure Fiction event game mode. Generally speaking, what we see so far is Pure Fiction is a bit more volatile in terms of the DPS characters that you bring, more volatile to the flavor of the month, whereas MOC 12 is a little bit more consistent. The high performers generally are quite high performing across the board. That is something that I want to point out as well. As for Hun characters, you notice characters like Doctor Ratio, Silverwolf, Single Target, Burster kind of things. They add more consistency because one of them firstly is free. Doctor Ratio, Single Target with follow-up can be played as DPS, as sub DPS if you're pairing with other units. Silverwolf, who basically drops in weakness on single target, very good for MOC 12 to add in a bit more consistency. That's why they perform a little bit better. Pure Fiction is more AoE kind of game mode. And of course, your characters like Imbibitor Lunae, who I feel is going to change after Sparkle is released. But for now, maybe there's not too many imaginary weaknesses in Pure Fiction game mode. That's why he swings a bit more as a Hyper Carry kind of style DPS in MOC 12. But let's put this all in a chart. What I have for you here is I analyzed like basically the whole entire chart that we saw previously, and I just lumped them over here into two categories. One is the consistent category and one are the swing categories. So I have here, I try to like group them up based on typings. These are the characters that regardless of what account you have, what you're tackling, if you have them, you should build them. I just want to point out why I grade links out is, from what I observe in the data, the thousands of data points available, is that most players, once they pick up either Luo Ca or Fu Xuan, Ho Ho, one of these, like two of these three characters, she tends to be dropped 100%. So that's why I put her in a grey. She is consistent, very, very good in both, but generally if you are aiming to get 2 sustained units, chances are your links immediately evaporates in value. So that is like total loss of resources. Any of you new players joining in like 2024 can't afford to have that much resource just disappear from your account so quickly, especially if you already know on the back of your mind you want to get any of these 3 or even like Aventurine or other stuff, characters that are more sustained in general. So that's the difference. However, characters like Pella, like Tingyun, with these 4-star characters are so good that regardless of what account, what characters you have, what we see is a very, very high play rate from these accounts, these characters. So if you have these two, and I think Pella is like quite attainable as well, please do build them. They are just so good for most accounts, very consistent for everything. It's like a free-to-play players, like super nice thing to grab. And what we saw from like the swings, we can see here on the left side are in red. For any of you who are colorblind, I basically like split it up into left side and right side here, so divided into this line, just to empathize with any of us colorblind folks out there. So if these side are the Pure Fiction swings, these side are the MOC swings on the right here, you can see basically is a DOT meta. That's why characters like Gui Naifen, Sampo, Esther, Kafka, these characters are more in the mix right now. They are much better. I think I forgot Herta. I shouldn't be forgetting her. She's supposed to be here as well. These characters, like the ones mentioned in the DOT characters, they are swinging based on events, like the flavor of the month kind of volatility. Whereas characters like Himiko, Herta, they are swinging into this because of the pure fiction game mode, which tends to be a bit more AoE focused in nature, clear as many enemies as you want. Erudition characters tend to outperform. The reason for some of you, just to add a bit more value to your learning as well, the advantage of this channel has been around for quite a while for Honkai Star Rail since the closed betas in 2022. So we've seen a lot of ups and downs. Characters like Argenti, he's not in this list because physical is now out of flavor, which means they took out a lot of physical weakness breaking enemies or weakness enemies to physical. That's why he's taken out. And we can expect the same for Himiko as well as Herta and these other characters who are specialists for pure fiction. Very quickly, they likely will be taken out similarly as well, especially if the enemies are no longer weak to that particular element. And that's what we notice from pure fiction event game mode. It tends to be much more volatile in a sense. Characters that were good last season might be not as good this season too. Whereas the swings for or your specialists for your MOC tend to be bit more consistent, and they tend to be rather similar. Most of them seem to be more single target focused in nature, and moving forward I do think that they will likely put more emphasis on Memory of Chaos for your hunt characters like your Topaz, Nambi, Dr. Ratio, Zealer, Silver Wolf. On these characters, more in the MOC 12 because you want to sell a group of characters. Right now, it's like not really a hunt meta, but I do think that they will find their long-term place in the Memory of Chaos 12, and they will likely be more specialists there. Of course, unless Pure Fiction has a bit of changes too. So that is like a huge breakdown of whatever data that we've seen, but still not enough. Let me just put it very simply to you. I think these are the characters that I'll recommend new players like watching this video, or you have no idea now if you are rejoining player, what are the characters to build. My honest recommendation, and if any of you are finding value in this video so far, give a like, subscribe. I like to do these kind of analysis for you guys as well. I think it's very fun to dive into the data, especially looking at trends. And one thing to know, of course, this is like historic, right? We also have to look at future value and stuff, which is what we do on our investment value characters whenever we compare like this character versus this character. I like to always take a look at the future to see how trend might evolve. But anyway, these are the characters I would recommend anyone to build. They are all 4-star characters. I know 5 stars are always the best. Everyone will tell you every 5-star is god tier except Yanting. But Tingyun, I think is a clear winner. You will see everywhere telling you to build this character. Herta, let's start the easy ones, shall we? We'll talk Tingyun, Pella. I think these are clear winners. Lynx, very very good if you don't plan to get a limited 5-star sustain. Maybe you like DPSs like Acheron, like Black Swan for example, or the other DPS. Maybe you want Sam in future, or Duke Inferno if he's playable and stuff. In that sense, Lynx, Tingyun and Pella probably will be my top recommendations for consistency across the board. If you do have some resources as you're building characters, I know new players might not always have. I think Herta is tons of value. Herta does very very well in the pure fiction game mode. Even if the enemies are not weak to ice, she does a lot for a free character. Considering that you get this character at 2E6, the highest Eidolons, totally for free, no resources spent, is $0 zero Stellar Jade investment for a very very high amount of returns in the pure fiction game mode. I definitely don't think it's like tons of, in terms of risk reward or return on your investment, it's like so high, $0 spent. Other characters that are really strong that you start off with, of course, is Esther as well as Serval. These are characters that don't pop off as much as Pella and Tingyun and might be replaced. Like Serval can often be replaced with like Kafka or Jingyuan to some extent, another 5-star limited characters. But the characters like Esther, I think is not too bad, considering that she gives Teen White speed buff. She's a free unit, free harmony unit, does remain relevant. As you can see, a free unit still being relevant after so many new characters has been involved. I think it does speak for something as well. But one huge disclaimer I want to mention is all this information that you see me telling you is based on a historical snapshot. What I mean by historical snapshot is we are taking one period of time currently as of time of recording, and we are analyzing the characters. In future, things can change. There's always volatility going on, and that's what this channel is aiming to do. I keep presenting information to you that's timely, right at your doorstep. But more importantly, I think, other than one way that history can help us is actually to look at a trend analysis on characters that have performed in the past and how they're performing from now onwards. And you can see these graphs is based on like how good they are. If you are interested in this content where we look at trend analysis for the past, do check out our other video, which we will likely be posting here in this end screen. And if you guys appreciate such content, like and subscribe for more such future videos. And yeah, see you guys in the next video.